All right, so here I am. I've just jumped into this system, and we're just going to do kind of a scanning and a hacking or archaeological hack analyzer tutorial. I'll go through some of the details in a minute. So the first thing you do is, we're going to open up our system scanner. I'm going to select all of there's a lot of cosmic signatures here, actually, and ignore all the other ones because they suck. And then one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a direction for axes where I can scan to. Hit my micro warp drive, launch my probes, and cloak. All right, I'm going to open this back up, and we're going to go ahead and, now that the probes are launched, there's a couple of different options here. Standard dispersion, there's this one, which in my opinion is useless for exploration. And then, but I usually use this one here. And what I do is I hold down the control key, the shift key. Oh, sorry, no, it was the control key. And I move them in a little bit closer. So it makes a stronger signal in the middle. And then you can save that to this button here. So that's actually the one I normally use. I'm going to move this over here roughly at about the center, and I'm going to start with a 16 AU scan and see what we've got. Okay, while that's going, let's go ahead and check the D scan. Okay, nothing there. This is a dead end system, and there's no real need for me to warp off anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and drop this down to 8 and scan again. So there's really no need for me to warp to a safe or anything. I'm 61 kilometers already off the gate. I've got my cloak on. Nobody's going to find me here. I'm not really worried about it. Okay, there's already a relic site, so let's pin that real quick. So I'm going to move the probes down, roughly center that over that, and narrow it a little bit more. This will probably take 2 more scans to grab. This one over here might actually be picked up in the scan if it's kind of close. So we'll see where that ends up. Yeah, it kind of did. So another fast way of being able to move between an overhead and a side view is to use the side view and the top buttons. I don't always use them. Sometimes I just don't think about it. I should get into the habit though, because it'll make things quicker. Okay, we're going to the 2 AU. We're going to focus on this relic site first. There is some kind of a new jackass in here, but I notice he's only been on since early May. So I'm not too terribly concerned about him. Now that I have that one pinned, I'm going to open it back up to 8 because I know a lot of these are in that area. And we'll go ahead and grab the next best signal that we can find. Okay. I'll go with this top one here. I think that was this one. Yeah. Go ahead and change it to a 4. Basically, all I do is I go and I scan them all. So I'll discard anything as I start to get descriptions on it that I don't want. Okay, that's a data site. I want that. I'm specifically going after data and archeo sites. I'm not going after gas sites. I'm not going to be out here mining clouds, and I don't have the firepower to be able to take on a like a gas processing site or any of the similar stuff. Although I would love to, because if you can find some of the skill packs that those things drop, and sometimes they're worth a ton of ISK. And so I normally wouldn't go for those in the right circumstances, but I just ignore it if I see gas. If I come up with a combat site, all right, got that one pegged. I'm going to open it back up to 8 and do a new scan. So if I find a wormhole, I actually will go ahead and scan them down, because usually you don't have to narrow to anything lower than about a 4 if your skills are all maxed out. And a lot of times it's because I just want to check it out and see where they go. That doesn't mean I jump in them, but I warp over to them about 30, 40, 50 kilometers off, whatever, a ways, and then I will check the properties or the information about them and see if it says if it's going to dangerous unknown space, which means J space, or if it's going to null sec, low sec, or even high sec. And depending on what I find, like right now, if I found it was high sec, I'd jump through and check it out just to see where it went, just for the hell of it. And because I don't know, maybe it's close to a trading hub or something, and I might want to grab some stuff while I'm there. It can be a great way of getting stuff back to high sec very quickly, or bringing stuff from high sec out very quickly if I want. If it's low sec, generally I really ignore it because I'm not interested in sites in low sec because they're just not going to be as rich. Wow, this one's going down to a really tight scan, so it should be a pretty good site to hack. So that's the Tor 041. We're gonna go for that one first. What else? Okay, that's good. So let's go ahead and open it up to the full 16, and we'll scan down the last two sites. So that, and then if it's nullsec, I definitely like to jump into those just to see, number one, where it's going, and if there's anything there that's worth scanning out also. And depending on where it is and what's around the system, I might take a little trip around the constellation. I generally don't go too far, and I will leave some stuff out there. Or if it's heavily populated, I'll just come back. It is important, if you do find wormholes, make sure you bookmark the wormhole itself that's in like the system we're in right now. So basically your source system. And definitely when you jump through, bookmark the wormhole that you just jumped through so you don't have to scan it out again. And when I take a look at the probe scanner, if I only see one cosmic signature, then I don't bother scanning because I know that's the wormhole I just came in, and I go back and I jump through it. Or maybe I go to some adjacent systems, but I always bookmark it. If I see two or more, then the first thing I do with the probe scanner is I narrow it down onto my position and I scan out the wormhole that I just came in from so that I can make sure that I have the right one off of my list, and then I ignore it because I just bookmarked it anyway. And then I start scanning the other stuff. So, all right, we're almost done here. I know that this one's a little far off a bit, so that's why I'm opening it up to a 16 AU scan just to save some time. So we're almost done. Wow, this place looks rich. So, okay, see if that newt's still here. I saw him in another system earlier, so I know he's moving around. And he can't have a ton of skills because he hasn't been on that long, but he could definitely fly something that's cloaky. But my guess is that his scanning skills suck. And he might be able to find like some wormholes and maybe some of the really easy to find data or relic sites. See, there's a wormhole there. But he's not going to be able to find that TOR, this one here. Because if I had to, with my skills, which are maxed, and I'm not wearing implants, by the way, but if it took that to scan that site out, where I think I had to go down to 0.25, I certainly had to go down to 0.50, then there's no way he's going to be able to scan that out, which means I'm not concerned about him finding me by virtue of finding the site. Check our D-scan again here, since we're almost done. Okay, great. So the first thing, let's recall the probes. Don't really need those out anymore. I don't like to have them out because I don't want to confuse my probes with somebody else's probes as they start moving around. So we're going to go to this first wormhole and just see where it goes. Doesn't mean I'm going to jump into it. And even if it is something that I would be interested in, because I don't want to make this a super long video, I'm not going to jump through it. But just see where it goes first. So if I select the wormhole and hit the information, unknown parts of space. So that goes to J space. That's sleeper space, basically. Or I think there might be some other stuff out there now too. It's not something this ship is not going to be able to handle whatever it finds there. So we're going to skip that. Now let's go ahead and move to the hardest to pin down Relic site. And we're going to hack that first. And that'll be the only site we hack because the hacking concepts are the same regardless of the site that you hit, at least the way that I do them, and which is fairly standard. There might be some nuances between the way different people handle it. Okay, great. Oh, my cloak is still on. So the first one is right there. Let's take a quick look at the ship I'm flying. I prefer Buzzards and I prefer Anathemas. What the hell is this? Oh. Am I getting? cares? Okay, so I use an expanded probe launcher. I can use this for combat scan probes also. But if I was really worried about the number, the CPU I was taking up, I would swap this out for a core probe scanner. And that's fine. Covert Ops cloaking, of course. Micro warp drive. I used to use afterburners more because it allowed me to change my fitting a bit. I didn't need the co-proc you see there. But I really decided that with a lot of these being as spread out as they are, the micro warp drive is the better choice. Relic analyzer, data analyzer, both Tech 2, of course. I have an EM shield amp just to kind of tank a little bit before I try to get out of dodge, along with the damage control. Frankly, when people uncover me, it probably doesn't really matter. Nanofiber, because why not? Doesn't have really fitting requirements. A co-proc to help fit everything else. And I made a mistake and put in two small emission scope sharpeners rather than one of these and one mimetic memory. The difference being that this one helps boost the efficiency of the Relic modules, and the other one, the mimetic memory, I think it's called, boosts the data modules. I goofed. Normally it's one of each. Now, that's okay. I prefer Relic salvaging or hacking than data anyway. The value is better off the Relics. So it's not like I'm going to go out of my way to change these. All right, let's go ahead, hit the afterburner, reload the probes because it's always good practice. And let's hit our first element here and check our D-scan, which is V as a hotkey. All right, now with the micro warp drive, I tend to overshoot and then come back. So I usually wait till I overshoot and then I go ahead and start scanning. I don't want to risk going beyond the 6,000 meter range limit and screw up the scan because then it'll stop. All right, so I'm going to start hitting some nodes here. I'll probably do 2 of these by example. I tried to spread them out like you see me doing here to branch them. Because in the beginning I encountered a virus right there, which forced me to have to use it. I get selective about which viruses I want to hack and which ones I kind of pass by, at least for the time being. All right, so I've got a lot of options here. And that, I find in my experience, the more options that you have to take around, the better you are. All right, that one was pretty easy. So let's pause here and think. Note this. If you see a 50 coherence over a 40 strength, you know you're going to find the medium level of the system core or the yellow core. And also the other one that you'll see along here is an 80 over a 20. Then you know you have a yellow. If your skills are maxed, it's very rare that you'll ever screw that thing up. All right, we're moving on to the next one. While we're moving on to the next one, check D-scan again. I'm not too worried about this guy, otherwise I'd be spamming the V a lot more than I am. If you encounter one where you only find 50 coherence over 20 strength, then you're going to have a green or the easiest system core that you can have. All right, see how I'm overshooting? And in a moment I slow down, I'm going to start coming back. Now I go ahead and start the hack. Now, if you start to see 60 over 40 or 90 over 20, then you know that you have a red. It's the highest level system core. And that one, you really be careful because you can mess that one up. Okay, I know I'm going to find a yellow here because these are 80s. This is a 50 over 40. And, I'm not really concerned, especially if I have these little shields here. These are great. As a general rule of thumb for me, I go ahead and just attack the 80 over 20s by without clicking on any of these. Now I'll go ahead and do a self repair. I don't necessarily use the polymorphic shields on these or the rots because it's such a slight amount of damage. I save these for the ones that are going to do 40. All right, well, I already hacked this one, so that was pretty quick. That was 2 million in loot there. Let's move on to the next one. And remember, you should be checking D-scan frequently. Even if you're not that worried, because they don't have to combat probe you so much as core probe the site. Now, again, this site I'm not too concerned about because he's going to have to basically have max skills to be able to probe this site out, or some really expensive implants, which would make sense to have on that character. Although people are crazy. All right, let's go ahead and start scanning this one. I'm hoping this one will have a red, because you generally find better loot. Not always. Okay. I know this is going to be a red because I just found one of these damn virus suppressors. I hate these things. These will screw up your hack if you get too many of them, or if you don't deal with them as you find them. If I've got the rot or the shield or the other type that I haven't seen yet, I'll call it out when I see it. I attack them directly because these will actually cut your damage to the virus like in half. Also cut these out, or attack those too, because they will increase the coherence of of some of the viruses you see. Well, that was quick. That wasn't very entertaining. But I'm not going to complain. Look at that. Oh, it's only 1.4. I thought I was getting excited. All right, let's move on to the next one. 67 kilometers away. So remember, those particular viruses that we just saw, those ones, especially if you pass those by and you get a second one, there is no way that you're going to be able to finish that hack. You have to deal with those as they come up. It's just the way that it is. So those are the only reason why I'll fail on a red system core can. That does not mean that I won't be able to hack the can, because you get a second opportunity to do that. And in my experience, almost every time the second time I've been able to successfully hack it. So, but rarely I actually do blow. Okay, this is 90 over 20, so it's going to be another red one. So I'm going to have to attack that. I take 40 points of coherence. Crap. All right, don't be discouraged. You might start off like thinking, "Oh man, I just started off on a real bad foot, and I've already lost like a shitload of coherence," and then that happens. So just try it out. That's all you can do. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, all right, it's about 6 million. That's not bad. All right, let's move on to the other one. Only 2 more left. This is really spread out. This is why I switched over to micro warp drives. The afterburner just took too long. Although it does help with your fitting. Periodically scan. Remember, again, that's the V key on the keyboard. Will do the scan. See, there's a directional scan V. All right. Oh, I didn't lock it up. It's okay. I'm going to bounce off it anyway. All right. I'm slowing down. I'm starting to come back. This is 6,000 range on Tech 2. Okay. Nuke that right now before we have a chance to uncover another virus that it just simply reinforces. Okay, I know we're looking at a yellow system. See how it reinforced that? A yellow system core, whatever it is. Oh, wow, that's the one. That's the damage rig. That's actually pretty cool. I might be able to sell that, or I can just make them and sell the rigs. Not too shabby where I'm Aquarius right now. All right, so while we're heading over to the last one, I don't know that Aquarius is going to have any, but we'll give it a shot. And it doesn't. Anyway, I'd probably have to check PIFA and find out, what the general going rate is. And, that's a word on the estimated value. A lot of that is, it's going to fluctuate on where you're selling it at. Is it JITA? Is it Amar? Is it ULI? Is it RENS? Is it somewhere in nullsec, etc.? What's the price you're really going to get for it? But, it's a pretty good estimate to run off of. All right, let's do the last site here, and then we'll see what we got. Now, I've been doing this a while. I've probably on this run here hit, all right, this will be another yellow. That was quick. I've probably hit about over a dozen sites by now, probably not more than 15 though. So let's go ahead and I'm going to orient down. I'm going to line down and get away from this thing. And I'm going to go ahead and hit my cloaking device. And let's take a look at the loot. All right. So 63 million estimate. I do carry some sisters combat probes that are worth almost 7 million. So I'll select those and invert. So I basically have 56.6 million. This is great, a great way of pulling in ISK on an alt, which is actually what I'm doing right now. My main is actually doing some other things. All right, making some spots. So let's switch back to here. Okay. So once again, this is not a bad haul for just using an alt, bouncing around. I can send them out over long distances through wormholes, whatever I want. I'm not in a huge hurry to bring this one back to base, so to speak, with their loot. And but it's great. What I would say, supplemental income, if you will, especially if your main is busy fighting battles and all that kind of stuff, which it looks like I probably need to jump into one soon. So that's pretty much it. That's scanning. That is probing or hacking data and relic sites. One thing that I don't have on here is the gas sites, particularly the ones that you can hack that you need the data analyzer for. So those are like the gas processing sites, but they have rats. And in nullsec, they're going to have some pretty strong rats. So you can scan them out, and you got to deal with the rats, usually with quite considerable heavy firepower. And then after they're toast, you can come back in with the scanning ship. The people like me who dual box or more, we bring in the alts and all that, or the whatever, and we take out the rats, and then we hack the things and get the stuff. But oh, look at that, I just despawned. Usually I don't stick around long enough to see that happen. So that's it. So at this point, if I open up my thing, I've got 3 more to do. I would estimate that out of these 3, I'm probably going to end up with somewhere between 15 to maybe 25 million if I'm lucky, more loot. And that's probably getting to the point where I'm going to start heading back to my main base of operations, and I'll drop the loot off and stuff because, it's not just the value of the ship. If I get ganked on the way back, which does happen, I'm also losing all of this along with the ship. And at this point, between the ship and this, it's roughly about 100 million ISK. It's nothing to sneeze at. But carefully getting back and successfully, and maybe even putting my main in an interceptor in certain places to help scout this guy through if I need to, get him back. And then the nice thing is, especially when you're out in nullsec like this, I don't take this stuff to JITA or anything like that and sell it on the main market. I know that a lot of these materials are required for the greater alliance. So if you are in an alliance, you should be selling it at your alliance base of operation in nullsec so that your alliance benefits and not potentially your enemies if you end up selling it in JITA, because that's kind of a dick move. All right. Hopefully this was helpful to y'all and wasn't too long-winded. Fly safe, fly with malice. Take care.